to do commissions, compliance, and command. I'm going to show you, we're going to really focus on opportunities, the opportunities in command. I'm going to try to get a little bit more detailed than I normally would, like an accelerator. We do this training, variations of this training every month. So if you feel like you want to deep dive into maybe a few other pieces of what I'm going to show you, know that on our Keller Williams Milwaukee YouTube channel, we have a lot of past trainings as well that dive into some other pieces of commissions and compliance and command. Specifically, I'm not going to go too far into like zip forms and the DocuSign integration and like writing contracts. We do that in offer practice. You do that in productivity coaching. We do that in accelerator. And then also we have that in other videos as well on YouTube. So if you're looking for like how to do zip forms, know that there's other resources for you to tap into. And then we're going to start with just uploading documents, the opportunity itself, things that you can edit in the opportunities, how to change things. We'll also do commissions in the opportunity. I'll show you what that looks like. And then if we have time, go into some other things that you can do to customize your opportunities as well. Okay. So we're going to jump into command here, and your opportunities are hold on, sorry. Hold on one second. So your opportunities is this little handshake icon over on the left-hand side of command. If you hover over it, it'll say opportunities. And when you come on here, you're going to see your dashboard with your pipelines, okay? On the team, if you're on a team, you might see the team name that you're in. Otherwise, it should say your name. So mine is Kathleen Wooten. You also have a tab for all opportunities. So once you start creating opportunities, all the deals that you do will show here in your all opportunities tab as well. In here, you can do different kinds of filters. You can also search for a specific opportunity, but you can filter by, the status, the contact, a tag, a closing date, that sort of thing. Or you can search by like the address or the opportunity name or even the contact. So if you're looking for a specific opportunity linked to one of the people in your database, you can search by their name. There's also a few smart views that they have in here, just the default, but also live on pipeline. So those are maybe opportunities that haven't closed yet that you have in your pipeline, or your closed opportunities month to date. So within the last month. Your pipeline is broken down into a couple different sections. The top one is listings. Then you have your buyers, and then you have leases, which most agents aren't going to really dabble in leases, so you probably won't have many opportunities there. Each of your pipelines is broken down to 5 phases, which are cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed, right? So to get to the closing table, we first have to go under contract on a property. Before we can go under contract on the property, they either have to be an active listing or an active buyer searching for a house. Prior to going active on the market, you need to have an appointment with that client, right? So we either have to go see the listing or we're doing a buyer consultation. And prior to appointment is cultivate. So the cultivate phase is really meant for anybody that's ever said to you, yeah, we're thinking about possibly buying, or we're thinking about possibly selling our house in the next year and 2 years when we retire, next month, whatever that time frame may be. So cultivate, then you can get to an appointment. Once you've gone on the appointment, we get them active on the market. Once they're active on the market, we go under contract. And once we go under contract, we close. The next thing you're going to see next to your pipelines is a little GCI calculator. So as you create opportunities, whether they're buyers or sellers, you're going to enter in the potential income that you're going to make. So you'll enter in the sales price or price that you're going on the listing with, or maybe just a guess. If you don't know right now what their house is worth, you can just put in an about price. And then you're also going to put in what your side of that commission would be. So for most agents, they take 3.6% on listings and they take 2.4% on buyers. Of course, that's going to vary by person. And so that commission percentage will calculate this potential GCI. So my potential GCI here on the right-hand side is if all of the opportunities in my pipeline were to close. So right here, I have 10 listing opportunities. If all 10 of those were to close, I would make $129,600 in GCI. So again, that's before splits. However, because most of my opportunities are here under cultivate and appointment, I haven't gotten them active on the market and I don't have them under contract yet, my probable income is only $25,000, right? So I don't know about you, but I would much rather have $129,000 in income versus $25,000 of income. So the more of the opportunities that you add in here earlier in the stage, the more you're going to be able to see what your potential GCI could be if you closed all those deals. And let that drive you and let that motivate you towards your goals. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create an opportunity. So on the top right corner, there's a blue button that says Create Opportunity. You're going to click on that. It's going to default to your market center name. It's also going to default if you're on a team to the team. The thing that you're going to select is the opportunity type, okay? This is really important to make sure that you're creating the correct opportunity, because once you've created this, if you create it as a listing and it really needs to be a buyer, you can't go back and change it. You're going to have to delete the opportunity and start it again. So please make sure that you're choosing the correct opportunity type, because this will put it in the different pipelines. So I'm going to do a buyer side opportunity. And then the buyer's name. So your contacts and your opportunities need to be contacts that are currently in your command database. So you should be able to search for your person's name. If they don't exist, you can also add a new contact or create a new contact right here in this opportunity screen by adding their name and then their email address and then their phone number. And then you can just hit create contact. That'll create a new contact over in your database, as well as tie that contact to this opportunity. You can also add multiple contacts to this opportunity. So say it's a couple, you can add in the second spouse here as a contact in the opportunity as well. What that's going to do is when you're in your database and you're going through your contacts and maybe past clients that you need to reach out to, both of those contact records will have the opportunity tied to it. So you can see that all in the database. So I would highly recommend that you add whoever is going to be signing contracts to the opportunity. It'll default the opportunity name to your contact name dash buyer. It also does it on listings. It'll be the contact name dash listing. You can always update this if you want to, or you can just leave it as defaulting. This is going to really be your way of knowing what that opportunity is. We would recommend that eventually you change it to maybe the address, or you add in the address. So maybe it'll look like Kathleen Wooten, 123 Main Street. Maybe I make it something like that, knowing that Kathleen, this is the house she's buying. Again, this will be editable later down the process. If you're just starting out with these buyers, we're not under contract yet. We have no idea the address, so we can just leave it defaulted to the name. Then custom tags. So you're able to create tags for your opportunities and tag your opportunities. There's a referral tag that's already in here. So I would highly recommend that if you have to pay out like a 25% referral fee once this opportunity closes, that you go ahead and tag the opportunity as such. There's no real expiration dates on referral agreements, so it could be 2 years from now when Kathleen decides to actually buy a house. We go under contract to get her to the closing table. I'm going to have to remember 2 years from now that I owe a referral. So it'd be nice to add that tag. Other tags that I've personally used and created are things like an investment property, buyer agency, so I can easily see which of my buyers have signed buyer agency agreements with me. And then if you're in productivity coaching, launch coaching, if you add a tag for that as well, that way you can keep track of the deals that you'll be paying out that 10% to the productivity coach. The next thing on the opportunities detail is the estimated closing date. Please go ahead and put in an estimated closing date. You can always edit this later once you get under contract. This helps our compliance department sort the opportunities in order so that the ones that are closing first will have their files reviewed. If you're not closing for, say, 6 or 8 months because maybe it's new construction, you might get pushed back and they'll do more immediate files in front of that. That makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and just put December 26th as my closing date. And then a budget. So maybe you haven't actually met with these buyers yet, but they're first-time home buyers, so you know roughly that's probably going to be $300,000 to $400,000 range for their budget. Again, you're going to update this, or you can update this later. Once you maybe have a consultation with them, you get a pre-approval letter. If you do know that they're specifically looking at, up to 425,000 or something like that, you can put that in there. And then commission rate. So again, most buyer agencies take 2.4%. That's totally up to you what you want to charge your client. We do have minimums here at Keller Williams, so make sure you refer back to your ICA for that information. And you'll notice that it went ahead and estimated my commission amount. So it took their budget of 425. It took my commission rate 2.4. And if I close this house on those terms, I would make $10,200 in GCI. And then the next thing it asks is where in the opportunity pipeline do you want to put this? So I'm going to leave it under the cultivate phase, and it's going to default to the very first stage, which is watch. And I'm going to show you stages here in a second. So once you fill out all that information, you can hit create. And it's going to instantly open up that opportunity details where you can start to input more information. But before we get here, I'm just going to go back a step. So I'm going to hit the little back arrow at the top here and go back to my pipeline. So now you'll see that I have this one buyer opportunity show up into Cultivate. I can click on this Cultivate button and you'll see that opportunity that I just created is under the Cultivate phase, under the Watch step, and this is my client. Now you have all these different phases that we talked about, but under each phase you also have stages. So under Cultivate, you have Watch, Nurture, and Hot. Under appointment, you have scheduling, scheduled, and kept, active, under contract, and then closed. These stages are actually completely customizable to you. There's a button right here on the top right that says stages and checklists. And you can change the name of these if you'd like. And also you can rearrange them, you can add them, and you can delete them. So for me, in this cultivate stage, I don't necessarily know what watch, nurture, and hot mean. So I would change those names to something a little more impactful, I think, in timelines. So I would do something like more than 2 years out. The nurture, I might say, call that 1 to 2 years out. And for hot, I might make that. So at some point in time, the conversation that we had, they told me we want to buy within the next 6 months, maybe our lease expires in June. Okay, well then now you're in less than 1 year out. So really what that means to me is we need to start having a consultation. So we need to start getting to the appointment stage. Does that make sense? The other thing that you can do here is build out checklist items. This really comes in handy for you in like the accepted offer phases, or maybe like you're launching a listing phase. You can come in here and add checklist items, things like, if say we were under accepted offer, right? So maybe it would be schedule a home inspection, right? And then what happens is when I move that opportunity to that stage, this task list instantly becomes assigned to that opportunity, and then I can check tasks off as I go. So here's a little bit how that looks like. I'll add another one. And you can build these out as you get more comfortable with using opportunities. It's not necessarily something you have to do today, but you can drag and drop them in order of however you want them. I'm going to hit save. And so what I've done is I've built a master checklist so that each opportunity will get assigned these checklist items as they move. So what that looks like is this opportunity right here. She said, we need a buy by June. And I said, great. So I'm going to move her over to the less than 1 year out. And I'm doing that by simply just clicking, holding, and dragging. So I'm going to move her over here to less than a year out. And because less than a year out has a few of those checklist items that I just added, you'll now see this little checklist right here on the card. It says 02. I can click on that checklist, and here are my tasks that I need to do. So I can select them and say, I can select more than one. Over here on the right, I can click the little check mark in the circle and make it completed. So now it says that it's been completed. I can also add due dates for myself, right? So I can say on the calendar date I want, specifically, I want it due tomorrow, schedule that. And so now I have a due date of tomorrow to schedule a buyer consultation for this client. If that's been completed, I can come in here and again, click the check, and now it's been completed. So you can utilize these stages, these checklists in each stage to really build out your consistent plan of what you do for every client every time. And then that makes it a little bit easier that you don't have to remember, oh, did I set up my, align showing service for my listing? You have a checklist right for yourself where you can check that off. Now, I will warn you, this is completely customizable to each person, so I can't just like upload these for you. You have to come in here and build all of this out. So if you're more of a paper or a Google Sheet type of checklist person, or you already have it built there, it's completely fine to keep it the system that you're using. This is just another option that if you really want to be in here and utilizing this to its fullest, you can build out all these checklist items. If there was something unique about this client and I needed an extra task that I don't necessarily need to add to my master checklist because it's not for everybody, it's just for this client, I can simply come in here and create a task for myself as well. So maybe this is need to call their mom to talk to them about something. It's a call task. And I can add in the description, call their mom about the gift or the down payment to ensure there's a letter for lender or something like that. And then I could just go ahead and add it to this client. Maybe I'll wait until we're active on the market. Maybe I'll wait till we're under contract with this client. That way, once we go into contract, I can call the mom, make sure that we have a letter about the gift for the down payment that I can then send to the lenders that they can use that money, that sort of thing. And so now for this client, I can see all the stages. If I go to that under contract escrow stage, you'll see that task that I just created. And this is not a part of the master checklist, so this will not show up for any other client. It's specifically just for this client, just something I need to follow up on later in the process, and so I don't forget about it. Okay. So say I do set an appointment with this client, I can drag and drop this opportunity card over here to appointments. So again, I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and you can kind of see that green behind it. So if I let go, and now I click on appointment, it's now here under appointments. So that's how you move that opportunity around. That's a little bit more about the checklists and the stages and how you can customize those things. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the opportunity details. So if you click on the opportunity name, you come into the details page, and you have these different tabs where you can navigate around the details of the opportunities. We have details, documents, offers, and commissions. Those are probably the three main things that you're going to be in. On the details page, we have our general information. So again, if we wanted to edit that opportunity name, we can do so here. We can also add in key dates. Okay, so if you want to track your dates and deadlines here in the opportunities, you can as well. Just know that this information doesn't get like sent anywhere. It's really, you have to kind of come in here and see these dates. I would highly recommend you put your key dates in your calendar on your phone, so that you can see them as you're going each day. You know what dates are coming up, but if you want to go ahead and fill these out, you can as well. It is not something that we require. Over here on the left-hand side panel, you can also, again, add another contact to this opportunity. And then once we go under contract, we're going to want to add that property address as well. So I'm just going to assume that we went under contract, and I'm going to click Add Address. And I believe as I'm typing, it should, yeah, so Google pulls up, and it'll auto fill in all this population. So now there's the property address. It's very important that you do this when you get an accepted offer or when you take a listing appointment, you get their address. This is how we make sure that we are paying and closing out the correct commission for you when you close, is by that property address, because that's always on that commission check as well. So when we get the closing statement and commission check, we match the addresses. And so we want to make sure that address is in your opportunity. And then this is that financial information that we saw earlier. So say this house wasn't at 425, that's not what we offered. Maybe we did 415, we can adjust that amount, and that's going to change that estimated commission amount. You can also then change the estimated close date. Let's say we got an accepted offer and now my close date gets January 8th. I can change that there. Okay. The next tab we have is our Documents tab. The first thing it's going to tell you is that to start, you have to select a checklist. So over here on the left-hand side, it says pick a checklist type. And you'll see that we have checklists for residential, condo, vacant land, and outgoing referral. So if you are expecting to receive a referral check for a client in a different area, say it's your sister and she's buying in Nashville. So you found an agent in Nashville, that Nashville agent's going to send us a check for you. That would be an outgoing referral. So I'm just going to pick the residential buyer checklist. And you're going to notice here that we have three different folders. We have consultation, under contract, and closed. And each one of these folders is going to have a bunch of different placeholders. I'm just going to collapse my side panel here. There we go. So each of these folders have placeholders, and each of these placeholders needs to have a document uploaded as long as it says that they're required. Okay. So we have a couple different required things, some that are conditional, like you might not have to pay out a referral, and some things are completely optional as well. So here, some of the things that are required for buyers are like our buyer agency agreement. Our compliance department needs to see that. We need to upload that. And then also those RESPA disclosures and those KW disclosures that we have to have each client sign as well. You're going to want to make sure you upload those. Once you go under contract with your buyer, you're going to see things like you need the MLS sheet. So you need to print off or save as a PDF the MLS listing, the actual offer to purchase, counter offers, the GMAR Addendum A, Addendum S for lead-based paint, so on and so forth, condition reports, home warranty, earnest money receipt, right? So if you're ever wondering what documents do I actually need for my file, know that these placeholders are clearly marked as to what is required by our compliance department, what might be conditional depending on the property, and what are optional depending upon the situation. To upload a file, all you need to do is go over to the right-hand side and click on Browse. That'll open up your folders. And then whatever your folder system is, whether you keep everything in downloads, if you keep things in different uh, folders, that sort of thing. It does have to be a PDF. It will not upload anything but a PDF. And I'm just going to put my training calendar in there. And then you'll see the file that you uploaded here in the placeholder. If you accidentally uploaded the wrong thing, you can click these three dots right next to the file name and remove it. Once you've submitted it to compliance, though, you're only going to be able to replace it, not remove it, because compliance has already looked at it. Also, another great option you have here is that you can print this document. So say you came in here and you really quickly needed to print off the counteroffer that you did, you can just click on it and click print. The other thing you can do is upload multiple documents, okay? So say you had the PDF of the accepted offer and it had all 8 different documents in there. So it had the accepted offer and GMAR Addendum A and the pre-approval letter and a counteroffer, all of that in one PDF. We have a split and attach PDF tool right here that you can use to easily break apart that one giant file into the separate placeholders that we have here. So you're going to click on split and attach PDF. Again, you're going to browse for that file that you have saved on your computer. And I'm going to do I'm hoping this has more than one page to it. No, no, it doesn't. Well, that's okay. So all your pages are going to be here. You can scroll through them. And then I can say attached to the offer to purchase. Maybe it's page 1 through 9 of the offer to purchase. And then I would call it offer. You can just call it something simple like that. You can then click attach more pages. And then maybe that's GMAR Addendum A, which would be pages 10 through 12. Something like that. Does that make sense? So you can take this one big file that you've uploaded that's maybe like 30 pages and break it down into the separate placeholders, and it'll create a new file for you as well with just those pages that you flag. Then once all that's in there, you hit split and attach, and it'll instantly drop all those extra files or new files that you've created into these placeholders. So just don't forget that you have the ability to split and attach PDFs in opportunities. You don't have to figure out how to do that outside of command. Another thing we get asked a lot is that there's just a placeholder for everything, but what if you have, 7 different amendments to the offer, and there's only the one placeholder for one amendment? Again, at the top here, these 3 dots, you can click Add Document. So maybe this is an amendment after the home inspection. You can call it amendment. And then again, you can just upload that file, that signed amendment that you have for the offer. And then when you hit save, it's going to add that right here to the bottom as well. Okay. So you can keep continually adding more files and more files and more files to this. Anything that you add in here will be reviewed by compliance and will be maintained by the brokerage. The other thing we have are custom folders. So you can create a custom folder here. Just know that custom folders will not be reviewed by compliance. Okay, so I would save these things for if you need to add like an email that you printed off here. If you needed to add additional like all the condo docs for a condo, you can add them all into a custom folder. We don't necessarily need to see them all for compliance. We'll want to see like the executive summary and the condo addendum to the condition report, but everything else you can kind of dump over here. And then what's nice about that is those documents are then also retained with this opportunity. So in a year from now, if your client was like, hey, do you have a copy of this document? You can come in here and you can see all those. Okay, so custom folders, custom additional documents that aren't necessarily, have signatures on them. They're not executed documents or signed documents. Compliance doesn't need to review them, but you just want to keep them as part of the opportunity in case you were to ever need them. You can drop them over here on the left-hand side. Now, what happens if this deal falls apart? What do, right? We don't like the inspection, we decide to cancel, buyer gets their earnest money, that sort of thing. What we can do, you don't want to create a whole new opportunity because it's the same client, right? So right here where it says under contract, and then there's a little drop down. If you click on the drop down, you can then add a version. So you can just leave it defaulted to version 2, or maybe you can, if you want to change it to the property address of the new accepted offer, that's fine as well. You're going to click create new version. And that gives you a fresh set of placeholders for you to now upload accepted offer number 2 on the new property. And then what's nice that you can always toggle between the versions. So we have version number 1, which was the first one that, maybe cammered, fell out of contract. And now we have version 2, which is our second accepted offer on the new property that we can start to upload. And then you'll always be able to come back and forth and see what documents there are. Okay. So after you have all your documents uploaded, you want to submit this to the market center. Okay. Now, you're going to see that you have 7 days, according to the ICA, you have 7 days to get these documents uploaded to compliance for their review. Okay. Now, this is just going to be an initial review. We do not expect you to have every single document for the entire contract period to be uploaded in 7 days, right? There's going to be amendments along the way. Maybe it takes a bit to get the earnest money receipt back, the home inspection, things like that, right? So the loan commitment letter, that's 30 days out, right? So there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be adding in here throughout the time frame, and that's perfectly acceptable. We want you to submit it though within 7 days, because until you submit it, we cannot see anything on the back end. So you have to hit the submit to MC button for us to even know that this opportunity exists. Okay. So don't be afraid. Just get your offer to purchase, any counter offers, real estate condition report, those sort of things that were signed with the buyer at the beginning. Get that stuff uploaded and then just go ahead and hit submit. As you add additional items, you can always keep submitting it to compliance. Okay. When compliance reviews your file status is going to change. So it'll say approved, it'll say returned. If it's returned because something's not complete, don't worry. That's why we go back and forth with you to let you know that there's something missing from your documents. It'll say status returned, and then there'll be a note from our compliance broker as to why they returned it. So you accidentally uploaded the offer that doesn't have the seller signature, go back and find the one that has the seller signature and upload that one. I think this is the wrong file in the wrong placeholder. hey, you submitted this, but you didn't submit the real estate condition report. Make sure you upload that, right? So they're going to return it for various reasons. I don't want you to get super like worried about why they're returning it. Just read their notes and then address it and fix it. You'll also receive a notification in your command that says that your opportunity was returned to you. So then come in here and read through why it was returned. You'll receive a notification if it was approved, which means everything looks good so far. Just keep adding stuff and resubmitting it. And then I want to show you offers and commissions and commands. So again, you have 7 days to submit your commission and command. So you're going to upload your documents, and then we're going to fill out our commissions. So we're going to go to the next tab that says Offer and Commissions. And we're going to click on Add New Offer. So this is where we're going to put in the details of our accepted offer so that we know how much that commission check's going to be and how everything needs to get paid out. It's going to default name to initial offer. That's completely acceptable. You don't need to change that unless you do for some reason. If you put that address in on the details page, it'll default here. The other thing that you can do if you don't add the address in on the details is select from the MLS. So you can come in here on the right-hand side, click on Show All Listings. And then you can search by MLS number. And to show you real quick, let me just go grab an MLS number. Okay, I'm going to pretend that I am writing an offer on Damara's listing here. And the MLS is 1934282. I'm going to copy that, come back to my opportunities. So I'm going to search by MLS number and hit search. And it's going to pull up everything in the entire US that has that MLS number. So you might have to scroll until you actually find the correct one. So it's on the bottom here. Make sure that it's for sale. It's the active one, because as properties get, sold and bought, right? You're going to maybe see some of the past sold ones with different agents. So make sure it's the active one. Make sure the listing agent's correct on here. If it's, if everything looks correct, then hit select, and then you can just click the X on the top right. So now this is the property that's tied to this offer and this opportunity. So when I go to close, this is the property I'm closing on.
Kathleen, I got a question.
Yes.
This is Rara. And what if the listing is a new build and it's not an MLS yet?
Yeah, great question. So what you can do is when you hit select from KWLS, up here you can hit create Keller exclusive. And then you're going to go through and add in some of those details about the listing. So the address, the date, your information. You don't need like photos, you don't need stuff like that, just the real basics. And then it's going to create an internal listing like this one here that you can then select. And then we'll be able to process the commission based on that. So if it's not in the MLS, you're not searching the KWLS. Instead, you're creating this like exclusive listing.
And how did you get to this part?
Yeah. So when
Oh,
I'm in
add
the
address.
offers and I create a new offer, I can hit select from KWLS, then click on create a Keller exclusive listing.
Hmm.
And then you're just going to fill out anything with the red asterisk. So listing category is for sale. You can be the listing agent, it's fine. Property type, just residential. Let's see, single family. Detached.
That means the garage not attached, right?
No, that means like it's a standalone house. It's not like attached to another
Oh,
house.
okay.
Yeah. I know it's weird because we don't really have attached houses necessarily in our area, but think about like New York City.
Mhm.
Expiration date, just put the closing date. And then, so the price. So new construction, let's just say it's 600,000. You can create the address here, hit I understand, and then create. And what that'll do is that'll create a listing for us to attach to the offer then. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you would do the same thing if it was like maybe a single party listing and it's not in the MLS, right? Or you did an off-market deal with somebody that's not in the MLS. It was a for sale by owner that's not in the MLS. Same process. Okay. It's going to ask you the property type, so residential. Classification will be a resale unless it's a new construction, but just resale is fine. And then total units is one. Think of units as number of commission checks. I think that's the easiest way to say it. Then the buyer's name is already going to pull in from the opportunity that we created. Buyer's agent is me. And then I need to put the seller's name. You can at least put the last name is fine. We don't need multiple sellers. Just to make sure that when we're matching up those commission checks, we get everything, the details correct. So if you really don't know who the seller is, you can just put like unknown. That's fine. Then the terms of the offer. So says it's 415. Cash and finance. Honestly, you can leave it at zero. You can put a dollar. You can put their actual down payment amount if you really want to. It doesn't matter. Earnest money, say we did 3,500 in earnest money held by the market center. If it's our listing, if it's not our listing, it's not going to be held by us. Commission rates should default to what we put in earlier. And then the accepted offer date and the closing date. So accepted offer date and then closing date. Contingencies, do not add contingencies. You're going to be tempted to, don't do it. You cannot delete these or mark them as completed once you do this. The MCA's office has to do it for you and you'll constantly get notifications. So don't put contingencies in there. It's for our Canadian friends, so keep that in mind. And then you can hit create and accept offer. And what that's going to do is bring us to our commission overview, okay? So your commission overview is broken down into three sections: the commission overview, commission information, and agent payment information. So the first section, commission overview, is really just talking about the sales price and those closing dates. If any of this is wrong or incorrect, or you accidentally put in the wrong sales price, just hit edit general information, and you can update. The next piece is commission information. So this is the money coming in to the market center, okay? So money coming in is going to need to balance with money going out, and I'll show you how that's done. But for commission information, this is money coming in. So I have my 2.4%, which is then my gross commission based upon the sales price. Then we have bonus. So say you take 2.4% plus 295, you have an additional bonus written into your buyer agency agreement. You're going to want to add that in. So hit edit buyer commission, then click add bonus, and we'll do the 295. Now you're going to get this red error message that says basically that the agent isn't being paid out the 295 yet because these sections don't balance, and we're going to make them balance, and I'll show you that. So you're going to be able to save it though. So don't pay too much attention to this red error message just yet. If you were doing an outside referral, so say you had to pay out 25%, you would do that on this middle section as well by clicking this add outside referral, and then you'd have to fill out all the referral information. So just be aware of that. So now I'm getting paid 2.4% plus a bonus of $295. This is the money that's coming in. This is the money that will be on my commission check that I receive at closing. So now I have to tell the system how to pay the money out, which is the agent payment information, okay? So here we'll see that I have the commission. I have, it'll show you what you're paying out as far as royalty, that's the 6%, and your company dollar, at, which is the 30%. It'll show you how close you are to capping. And then it'll tell you what you're taking home. But I'm missing that bonus payment, right? I mean, I took $295. I would expect to receive that $295, right? So now I need to edit agent payment. And you'll see here, there's this in red, it says the bonus, there's $295 left to distribute. So once I put that $295 in, now I have no money left to distribute and it's no longer red, which means it's balancing. I can then hit save. So that adds that $295 bonus. So money coming in now balances with the money being paid out. Then on the right-hand side, you're going to see all the details in a quick snapshot. So the money coming in, the money going out, and the money being paid to the agent. So you'll be able to see how much royalty is being paid, how much company dollars being paid towards your cap, and then what your take home will be. Once you feel like all that information's in there correctly, you can hit submit. If you're in productivity coaching, just know that you're going to have an automatic deduction on here for that productivity coaching fee, and it will be the 10% off this gross commission. But that should automatically be in there if you're in PC. Okay. Once everything looks good, you just hit submit, and then we can pay you out. So to get paid, there's two things you need to make sure. One, that your commission's been submitted and approved. And second, that your documents are all submitted and have all been approved. If your documents are approved and your commission's approved, you'll get paid. Okay? Any questions on the commissions? Any other general questions about opportunities? If for some reason, after you've submitted this commission, the deal falls apart, you can change this response. Well, yeah, change response. Changing response is going to, yeah. So, and then you can hit reject. If you've already submitted this commission, there will be a request termination button here. So you'll hit request termination. They'll approve that termination in the back end, and then you'll be able to do a new commission request for the new property once you get it under contract. If the sales price changes, say you negotiate a $5,000 price reduction after the inspection, so now it's at $410. Once you've submitted this commission, you won't be able to change that. That's totally fine. We're going to process it based upon that check that we actually received and the other information like the percentages that you've put in here. Okay, so don't worry too much about like a price drop. But if you've submitted it and then you're like, oh no, I have to pay out a referral, we're going to make you terminate it and redo this whole commission page, and add in that referral. Okay. So before you hit submit, just double check that you have everything that you need to on this commission page. That way you don't have to redo it later. Okay. Well, that's about everything for opportunities that I think you need to know. Just make sure that you get your documents in and approved in a timely fashion. Make sure you know what happens if you need to create a new accepted offer package for a different property. Make sure you understand how to input your offers and commissions into the database or into the opportunity so that you can get paid. And practice doing that on an opportunity. That way when you get a client, it's a lot easier and you understand how to put everything in quickly. And don't forget, you have 7 days to get everything submitted, at least initially, and then you can always keep adding to it. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out.